It's tornado season in Arkansas. It's the start of the season. And we've had some devastating ones in this state down through the years and right here in our own county, but probably for as much as sheer destruction in as wide a path, this may be the worst one ever. March 1st, 1997, a terrible tornado day in Arkansas, and we're just starting the season.
West started from South Alexander. Where does he need to be?
The whole park is gone. I bet you 30 trailers are gone up there. People laid out all over up there.
We were in that block building, took the roof off, me and my husband and my son and 3 grandkids.
Who you are?
It like to pulled us out of it.
But we was a-praying.
We was a-praying.
What's going on, guys?
You need to stand right over here.
Right.
Yes.
David! Okay.
In this hell.
The tornado outbreak of March 1st, 1997 was one of the deadliest in the history of the state of Arkansas. 16 tornadoes tracked across the state, killing 25 Arkansans, injuring around 400 people, and causing more than $115 million in property damage. Several of the tornadoes had unusually long tracks, traveling between 50 and 75 miles. There was also a higher than statistically expected number of tornadoes of F3 strength or higher, that is, tornadoes with wind speeds in excess of 158 miles per hour. Of the 16 tornadoes, 4 were responsible for all fatalities in the state, as well as much of the property damage. All 16 tornadoes were produced by 4 supercell thunderstorms, with the 4 killer tornadoes being spawned from 2 such storms that formed ahead of a cold front. During the morning of March 1st, atmospheric conditions were favorable for the formation of severe thunderstorms and possibly tornadoes. Warm, humid air from the Gulf of Mexico had settled over the state, causing temperatures normally in the 50s during early March to sit between 72 and 75 degrees, with dew points in the 70s as well. The air was heavy with humidity. Winds were strong, both at the ground and far above it, with directional wind shear noted. Wind shear, meaning the turning of winds with height, created rotation in the atmosphere, which made conditions even more favorable for the formation of tornadoes. Another contributing factor to the day's severe weather was a strong cold front pushing into the state from the northwest. Behind this front, temperatures were as low as the mid-30s. This temperature contrast added even more instability to the atmosphere. By the morning of March 1st, a line of thunderstorms had developed along the cold front as it pushed into the state. This line was responsible for producing several tornadoes. However, the stronger tornadoes were born from another line that had developed approximately 50 miles ahead of the front and moved northeastward along the unstable boundary of warm and cold air. On February 28th, the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma issued a Day 2 moderate risk of severe weather for much of the state. At 11:34 a.m. on March 1st, they issued Tornado Watch number 75, which included western and central Arkansas, as well as portions of neighboring states. This watch was issued approximately 2 hours and 30 minutes before the first tornado touched down in the state. During the event, the National Weather Service Forecasting Office in North Little Rock issued 57 severe weather warnings. 34 of those warnings were for tornadoes. All of these were issued based on radar data, which was a new development considering that the WSR-88D system would not reach nationwide coverage until 5 months after this event. The average lead time those warnings gave the communities that would be hit by killer tornadoes ranged from 9 minutes in the Denmark and Velvet Ridge areas to 28 minutes in the Jacksonport area. Overall, the time between issuance of a tornado warning and the arrival of one of the killer tornadoes averaged about 12 minutes. Warnings were not only spread via television and radio, but also through ham radio and fire or police scanners, which were relied upon by many Arkansans in rural areas. Notably, this marked the first time that a local meteorologist used radar to track a tornado live on television in the state of Arkansas. Ed Buckner of KTHV tracked one of the killer tornadoes through central Arkansas via the station's live view radar.
Taking a look at live view radar there, that is West Roosevelt Road, and the heaviest activity right now along South Arch Street. This is where I am showing you on our exclusive street view here. South Arch Street, very, very heavy cell, possible tornado in this vicinity. We need to really, really watch it. If you live anywhere in South Little Rock or even southeastern parts of the city, I suggest you find that room right now where there aren't any windows. Get down low and protect yourself the best you can. We don't want to hear about any fatalities with this. If we can get the warning out now, please seek shelter immediately. This storm has produced tornadoes to the southwest of Little Rock.
Now let's show you what we used on March 1st to track a killer tornado as it moved through central Arkansas. Here you see the tornado, the actual precipitation being wrapped around the vortex of what at this point was an F4 tornado with winds of over 250 miles an hour. We were able to tell you that this tornado was crossing Arch Street Pike and Dixon Road. We were able to let you know that it was coming toward you. Now,
one of the supercell thunderstorms to spawn multiple killer tornadoes became known as the Interstate 30 supercell due to its path northeastward along Interstate 30. Multiple killer tornadoes were formed under this storm, as well as a few smaller satellite tornadoes. The first killer tornado born from the Interstate 30 supercell touched down near Hope in Hempstead County at 1:55 p.m. and began a northeastern track through rural Hempstead and Nevada counties before crossing into Clark County. This tornado struck Arkadelphia around 2:40 p.m., causing F4 damage, indicating winds between 207 and 260 miles per hour. Much of downtown Arkadelphia was destroyed, with 60 blocks of the city taking severe damage. In one trailer park, 56 out of 57 mobile homes were destroyed. Overall, the tornado damaged or destroyed about 250 houses, 90 mobile homes, and 45 businesses in the Arkadelphia area. The Clark County Courthouse also lost its capstone and clockwork. 5 people were killed in Arkadelphia proper, with the 6th person being killed in a vehicle on Interstate 30 southwest of the city. Real-time confirmation of the massive destruction caused by this tornado in Arkadelphia helped the National Weather Service issue tornado warnings for the remainder of the day, using the radar signature of this particular storm at this time as a reference for the rest of the day. From there, the tornado continued into Hot Spring County, causing significant damage in the Donaldson area before finally lifting about 4 miles east of Malvern at approximately 3:10 p.m. Overall, this tornado caused a 67-mile-long path of destruction. The same supercell continued northward toward the Little Rock metro area. A second killer tornado touched down about 3 miles southeast of Benton in Saline County at about 3:25 p.m. and strengthened as it moved northeast into more densely populated areas. The tornado devastated areas including Chico, Vimy Ridge, Oak Ridge, and Shannon Hills. 10 were killed as this F4 tornado tore through the area, destroying 90 homes and damaging another 175. At about 3:35 p.m., the tornado crossed into Pulaski County and the southern and eastern suburbs of Little Rock. The tornado produced F3 damage in College Station, where 5 people were killed and nearly 200 were injured. By 3:40 p.m., the tornado had entered the city limits of Little Rock. The storm approached the Little Rock National Airport, and the National Weather Service contacted officials at the airport who issued a ground stop, moving passengers and others into the relative safety of the building. It would, however, soon lift near Interstate 440, about 4 miles east of Little Rock. This storm created a 27-mile-long path of destruction through urban and suburban central Arkansas. Adding to this destruction was an F2 satellite tornado that left a 2-mile path near Vimy Ridge, and a second F2 satellite that was on the ground for 5 miles near College Station. Of all the tornadoes on March 1st, this was the largest, stretching to a width of 0.8 of a mile. Before leaving the state, This storm produced a third killer tornado, which touched down near Lenny in Mississippi County around 6:20 p.m., damaging and destroying mobile homes, before crossing into Dyer County, Tennessee, where one person was killed. This was the only tornado-related death that did not occur in Arkansas during this event. The second supercell thunderstorm to spawn killer tornadoes began while the Little Rock area was still being ravaged. Its first killer tornado touched down about 10 miles northeast of Searcy in White County and began strengthening as it moved to the northeast. The tornado crossed into Jackson County, causing F2 damage as it crossed Highway 167 about 3 miles south of Denmark. In this area, 2 people who had fled their mobile home to take shelter in a ditch were killed when a tree fell on top of them. Their mobile home was also destroyed. The tornado cut across a corner of rural Independence County, damaging homes as it went, before crossing back into Jackson County. It arrived in the Jacksonport area around 3:43 p.m., killing a person in a mobile home, bringing the total to 3 deaths in Jackson County.
The white building is all that is left of the post office here in Jacksonport. You can tell by looking at the trees what's left of them, the twisted, mangled debris. It's a longtime friend of mine and my family, Mr. Gene Odom, longtime resident of Jacksonport. And Gene, your home not flattened, but the roof is gone, and you actually saw the twister coming across the river.
Definitely did. And I'll tell you what, and 2 seconds later, I would have been with it.
Yeah, because you just barely got off the porch, and the porch is gone.
Right.
Okay, any sound to the twister?
Yeah. It sounded like about a dozen freight trains are coming across the river.
Okay, but you were actually able to see it coming from the Hagewood property across the river and across the Mary Woods.
Yeah, I sure did. And I seen it when it started lifting stuff off the Mary Woods.
Okay, and I know you want to thank a lot of people. You mentioned Diaz Fire Department has been a big help to everybody out here.
I want to thank them definitely, and the deputies. Now they were swell.
Okay.
Man, everybody out here just worked their tails off.
They sure did. They sure have a lot of volunteers, and we're going to get you back and going. It may take till July.
I appreciate it there, bud. And
okay, Gene, and I know that we had the fatality occur next door to you, and you folks are very lucky, and the Lord smiles on us sometimes when we most need him.
yeah, he sure does. I'll tell you for sure he does.
All right,
I believe he was with me, or I'd been with the storm.
I'm gonna let you get back to work. I know you got some helpers over there and family, and good luck to you, Gene. Thanks for visiting with us.
You're welcome there, bud.
Okay, Mr. Gene Odom here at Jacksonport. Here is what remains of the Mary Woods number 2. There's significant interior damage that you can't see, but she's still afloat at the moment when we filmed on Sunday, but there are holes in the floor. Most all the interior has been sucked out of the shell of the boat, and of course you see the extensive exterior damage in the Mary Woods 2 here at Jacksonport. Show you the courthouse. A lot of you heard about the damage to the old courthouse. Well, you see the workmen up there on Sunday afternoon working. The roof was taken off of the courthouse, but the damage could have been a lot worse. Fortunately, it's a good old sturdy building and held together pretty good.
From there, it moved through Craighead County, passing near Egypt at 4:15 p.m., and then Lawrence County and into Greene County. The storm lifted about 18 miles northeast of Paragould, having left a 75-mile-long path of devastation across northeastern Arkansas behind it. Final killer tornado for the day in Arkansas was spawned from this same supercell thunderstorm. It was down in Greene County and moved northeast for about 2 miles, during which time it passed through the center of Marmaduke, causing F3 damage and killing 1 person. The storm crossed into Clay County before lifting near Rector. No other tornadoes in the state on March 1st caused deaths, nor did they have the same incredible wind speeds as the killer tornadoes. However, there were many others that were responsible for damage as well as injuries. At least 1,200 structures across the state were damaged or destroyed, of which almost 400 were in Arkadelphia. Property damage was estimated to be over $115 million.
More people were killed in 18 hours than in the 12 years I was governor, I believe, combined in the tornadoes.
President Bill Clinton declared 11 counties in Arkansas as federal disaster areas. 25 Arkansans died over the course of the outbreak. Of those 25, 4 were in single-dwelling houses, 3 were in non-residential buildings, 2 were in vehicles, 2 outdoors, and 14 were in mobile homes, which continue to be a very hazardous place to remain during severe weather events, and is especially problematic in Arkansas, where, as of the 1990 census, 13% of residences were mobile homes. Tornado sirens, or the lack thereof, played a major role in this outbreak. In Clark County, the tornado warning provided such a long lead time that the sirens were sounded 2 times and continuously sounded after the tornado had been spotted and while it bore down on Arkadelphia.
Jim Burns is the director of the Office of Emergency Services in Clark County. He is the man most credit with giving Arkadelphia a big jump on the storm. Trees were slamming down around him when he called in the tornado's position 20 miles south of town.
Stuck in my truck. I couldn't get out. After it passed over me and I got the word to the sheriff's office to sound the sirens and everything, we had ample warning. I just can't say enough good things about the TV stations, the weather service, and everybody that was involved, because we had the warning, and you'll find very few people in Clark County, if you get out and talk to them, that will tell you they didn't have any warning.
Unfortunately, later analysis of the event found that some people were confused by the second sounding of the siren, as in tornado drills at the time, the second sounding of the siren indicated that danger had passed and it was safe to leave shelter. The Storm Prediction Center noted in its report that many of the areas where deaths or injuries occurred did not have tornado sirens. One such place was College Station, which, although not having tornado sirens within their city limits, had several residents alerted to the warning by hearing sirens about 1.5 miles away in Little Rock. However, the lack of immediate visual confirmation to go along with the sirens caused many people in College Station to dismiss the warning. As warning times historically had been much shorter, many people were used to hearing the sirens and being able to see threatening clouds or poor weather that helped them to understand the danger of the situation. One story from College Station told of a woman at choir practice who heard the sirens and went outside to check the weather. Seeing that it wasn't storming, she went back into the church and continued having practice. About 15 minutes later, her son came inside and informed the choir that debris was falling from the sky and it had grown dark and windy. The choir took shelter in the back of the church, and thankfully all survived. This event caused the National Weather Service to begin internal discussions of the downsides of very long warning times. Following March 1st, an investment of several $1 million was made to improve the tornado siren system throughout the state. These sirens exist to provide a warning to those who may be outside during severe weather, and they are intended to supplement other means of broadcasting a tornado threat to the general public.
I'm very concerned about it. I talked over the weekend I talked to the governor twice, and the mayor of Little Rock, and Representative Malone in Arkadelphia. It's a bad situation.
We talked to a lady earlier in Saline County that this past month she had lost 6 members of her family and was gone over the weekend and come back home and had lost everything that they owned. And so it was just pretty devastating.
My son and I are left, and that's how I'm holding up.
The devastation is even much worse than I think we had expected last night, and it's just, thank the Lord, even though there were deaths, that there weren't more, because you look at the way buildings and homes were just literally obliterated.
It's a miracle to me that a lot more people weren't killed.
I talked to her, man. She was laying right over there next to the frame of the trailer. I just kissed her, man, told her I loved her.